They don't see any of this stuff. They love it. They love it. But it is late now, 17:01. What the hell am I doing with my life? Let's go. Hello, ballers and a bro fist to you all! You lovely, lovely people. I can always cut my head off. You know why? Because I stream during the day and I'm down and I got the chair down and then I raise the chair up and the mic's not right and the camera's not right. It all goofs it up. But who gives a shit? For it is Wednesday, which means it's the workshop where we're going to be looking at you guys playing that World of Warcraft. That World of Warcraft where we're going to try and make you guys just better players. Generally better players so that people go, this guy's pretty swaggy. I like the look of this guy. Look at this guy. He's owning it up. Owning it up. I thought this guy was bad, but now he's awesome. What the hell happened? Workshops are awesome. They're one of the most fun things I do. Certainly not the most popular thing I do compared to other things that I do, but still. It's when I get emails like, oh, this one. Dude, you workshopped me the other week and now my DPS is up 50k. 50,000 DPS increase. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. There's a little bit of a workshop. A week later, 50k DPS increase. Yeah, baby! That's how we roll. That is what the workshop's all about. Is we just turn the fucking volume up. That's all we do. That's all we do. If you want to submit to the workshop, it's very easy. Use a free program like OBS, Open Broadcast Software, that allows you to do something cool, which is record yourself playing for free. And then just upload it to YouTube. That easy. Just upload it to YouTube. And you're done. That's it. It's all done and dusted. Just upload it to YouTube and send me the link. Email it to workshop@preachgaming.com. If you wish to provide some notes, cool. Don't worry about audio. Don't worry about anything like that because I don't play it. I don't play the audio. This week's workshop is going to focus on tanking. Tanking's kind of got a bad rap for a number of reasons, right? Including myself. Tanking's changed so much, barely recognizable. Besides the fact, the only thing that we can say is definitely the same, is that bosses punch us in the face all the time. That bit hasn't changed. We still get punched in the face all the time. That still happens. But so much of tanking has like altered and gone weird. And it's different. And this phrase keeps getting thrown around like active mitigation. And people go, what's active mitigation? Sounds so cool. I'm actively mitigating things. I'm doing things about stuff. And then you realize active mitigation is really just pressing kind of the right button at the right time, which is kind of cool. Hopefully in a couple of years it will develop into something super wonderful. Right now, a little bit lackluster, especially in the older classes, which is why we're not going to look at any of the older classes. In fact, we're going to look at one class. We're going to look at Brewmasters. Brewmaster monks. We're going to look at two different aspects of tanking. Two different aspects of tanking. We're going to look at a guy just running a 5-man. Now, I love tanking workshops on 5-mans. I do. I love tanking workshops on 5-mans because in a 5-man, I don't care about a lot of things. That sounds weird. Why do you love videos where you don't care about a lot of things? You're not going to die in a 5-man, really, ever. But what you are going to show me, you're going to show me something that you really can't show me in a raid, and that is awareness, positioning, thinking ahead of what you're doing. These are all valuable elements in being a good tank. A nice normal tank you can get away with being in a raid can kind of stick his face in front of the boss. He sees that big thing coming and he can press his button and he survives. And you're kind of okay, right? Aggro ain't no real big thing. It's not a real big thing anymore. You basically have aggro issues if you're dead. Being dead's an aggro problem, but if you're alive and you're sort of pressing stuff, you're gonna be alright in general. But in a 5-man, you can demonstrate many things to me that I just can't see in a raid, and they're important things. Who's to say that in our next expansion, which should be announced pretty soon, in our next expansion, the 5-mans are going to be turned way up, and we're going to return to some sort of really difficult 5-mans. Some of you are going to have a really hard time with that. Some of you are going to have a really tough time if they go that way. I'm not saying they will. They probably won't. They might stay medium, some hard ones, some easy ones. But if they do go hard, or you're doing challenge mode content, there are things you need to be doing as a tank beyond the ordinary stand in front of mobs and get kicked in the face, right? There's things to be doing other than that. And in a normal 5-man, you can actually show me that. So we're going to be looking at a wonderful chap, a wonderful little chippy chap, Inside, I believe this is, I want to say, Scarlet Halls. I want to say Scarlet Halls. UI is fine, so I'm not going to do the usual UI bit, but I'm kind of going to be talking you through some things that I noticed in this situation. There are a couple of fallacies when going into a 5-man, right, as a tank. And it depends on your sort of confidence level as a tank and the people you've dealt with in the past. Some people take the idea of being in a 5-man as a tank is how fucking quickly can I reach the last boss, disregarding the entire universe. And they go, boom! And they leave people behind who are dead, who are out of mana, who are doing all sorts of crazy nonsense behind them, and they just go full head of steam, charge through the instance, I'm the ownage, I'm going to win. Because if I go ever so slightly slowly, then everybody's going to lose their fucking minds at me, and I'm going to be called a noob, and I'm going to get raged at, and people are going to be like, ah, right, you're slow. So they go like a bullet train right through it, and that causes all kinds of problems. The other side of that is people who play too safe. They don't get the idea of going really fast. I want a nice leisurely pace. I want to make sure everybody's like full mana. I want to make sure that everybody is nice and cozy and everybody's just feeling generally wonderful before I pull to my next pack. And then you start to get the idea of, The obvious solution is to do both, safe and speedy. Something I always try and teach in my tanking videos is safe and speedy. You want to go pretty fast. You do. There's a simple reason behind that. While it's not a race, it's not a dawdle either. It's not a doing the dungeon, you know. It's not that either. You're there for a purpose. And one thing you can all agree on is that the other people in the dungeon are there for a purpose as well. They're either there for boss drops or some points or something along those lines. And taking your sweet, sweet time about it is just a pain in the ass, especially when it's not necessary. So a certain level of pace is required. And there are certain things we can look for when we do a 5-man which will decide our pace, okay? One thing I want to say as we start into this, as we go into the gameplay, is, yeah, as you can see, it's in a black window. Not much I can do about that. Not much I can do about that. Is we're going to be looking at our tank. Now, there's one UI element that does bother me entirely. Oh my god, this kills me. I'm going to let it play. There's something that I absolutely detest about this UI. And I want some hero out there to go, how can you tank like this? How can you tank like this? How? Tell me when? No. Need more Omen? Come on. Omen. Nameplates! Oh my god, how? But why are you not using nameplates? How is this possible? For the love of God, get some nameplates going on. And there are good reasons for this. Please, I beg of you, turn on your nameplates. And it does cause you problems. I'm not just being this like some horrible like UI fascist. It's important as a tank that you have nameplates. It's important because you need to be aware not only of who's attacking what, but you need to be aware of when things run in from the side. If your camera work is ever so slightly goofed, your nameplates go, hey, giant mob over there, beating up on your fucking healer, why don't you move your ass over to yonder and save that guy's life? Nameplates are vital. They're crucial, okay? Although we're going to be looking at a 5-man, which is easy, we're going to be taking elements as if it was a difficult 5-man and challenge mode-ish type stuff, okay? Nameplates, please. Get those nameplates. Get them. Now, here's my first indication of our man is erring on the side of too much safety, okay? So I don't mind this. I do the same thing as well. We roll into combat. We're getting ahead of everybody. Always remember that getting ahead of everybody is a good idea. And then this run back. Pussy! I'm only joking, but yeah. It's okay to be a boss when starting the dungeon because you've got all your cooldowns. So you can be a bit of a boss. Pulling mobs and running back, I don't particularly like that. Because now this is my opportunity to do something really important. Now you might think, what's the problem? You only ran back a few feet. I'm now doing what I call my tanking test. In the first couple of pulls, I think it's important for anybody, no matter what content you're doing, to gauge what your group is like. You have a couple of pulls and you can make a lot of decisions about how the rest of the run is going to go based off the first couple of pulls. It's important. It is. In the first couple of pulls, I'm looking for a couple of things. One, how fucking long did it take the DPSs to actually get to me? Now, in Scarlet Halls especially, there is time to load in and grab that bucket of chum and throw it at that guy and run down a hallway, round a corner, and get to the mobs. That's a lot of time for people to use the excuse, oh, but I'm still loading in. It's potential. But in the first couple of mobs, I'm looking for this information. I want to know how quickly are my DPSs on the case. If I can pretty much kill this pack on my own, and as a tank, you can, then, you know, I've got really slacky DPSs. Ugh, it's going to suck. On top of that, after the first couple of pulls, I want to gauge my healer's mana. Because that is the most important thing to me in any sort of content, group content. How are my healers doing? If I pull a load of stuff and my healer ends on 100% mana, I'm going to be pulling more stuff because he can clearly handle it. If I pull a pack and my healer is suddenly out of mana, I'm going to take it a little bit easier. The first couple of trash packs are really important for gauging a group. Now again, remember, yes, it's Scout Halls, it's super easy, who cares? But you're doing these decision processes because you're going to encounter more difficult content. That's going to happen. So we're learning lessons in the early 5-mans that we can put on somewhere else, okay? Okay? That's what we're doing. So, running back to this situation and be like, okay, nobody's here. And I'm looking and instantly, who sucks in this group? Tell me. If you're on full screen, it's... Oh, okay, it's going to be too hard. It's going to be too hard. Hunter! This bothers me. If I've done this, I have pulled... This is... You can see the map here, kind of. The green dot. If I've done all this work... I've managed to get rid of the first trash. I've run down the corridor. I've pulled these. I've pulled back. I've positioned myself at DPS. And the hunter is still in the doorway. He is going to probably suck. Now, some of you will be going, that's really unfair, preacher. What if this happened? What if this? It's my first initial response. First impressions are everything, right? First impressions are absolutely everything. My first impression of the hunter is probably slacker. Either has a really bad PC. It's not my problem. This is what you need to understand. When you say like hunter's probably going to be a goober in this group, there's a number of reasons that might cause that. I don't care from my point of view. I'm not here to buy him a new PC. For the rest of the run, I'm kind of going to be tolerating this hunter who's probably going to be slack. It's my first impression. My first impression. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to do our deeps. Doing our deeps. Taking names. I want to point out again for the player as a personal note is when you're AoEing, your shuffle tends to suffer. It's just a minor note, but keep aware. It drops and then you kind of put it back up. So I'm going to do this DPS thing. And it's fine. It's fine. It's dying. Now, I kind of agree with killing this pack before we go into the next. Far too often in this dungeon in particular, I see people leave this mob up, charge over here, and everybody grabs the fucking the arrow thing, you know, the arrow board, and then they all go dead slow while getting smashed to bits in the back by the mobs that were left up by the tank. You've seen it happen, right? It's like I'm super fast uber tank, and they go speedy, but they forget the safe. So they grab the thing and they're walking down the thing, and then everybody else does it, and then they all die, and like it's just garbage. It's just garbage. You'll have been there at some point, no doubt. So on we go. Take a roll, moving up like a boss. Now, a couple of things here. There's a couple of things that happen here as a tank that is important that you know. One is that you get stunned, and you should be ready for that. As a monk, it's no big deal. We can roll to wherever the mobs go. But if we get there first, we're going to get stunned. It's going to suck. These mobs don't have any health. He does. So in this situation, I always select this guy, and I'm ready for the stun. It just seems to me like we didn't really think about what happens next because of this. There's the stun. And now we're kind of like, we dodder around trying to get back. We end up throwing down our statue. Kind of cool. Oh no. That ain't happening. No. Get out of here, John. None of that. Stood in the fire. Not bothered about that. But we go ahead and get aggro. And everything's cool. Everything's cool. But just being prepared about the little things that go up. If you know you're going to get stunned, it's always nice. And again, don't relate it directly to Scarlet Halls, but if you've ever done this before, you should remember things like, oh, this guy stuns me when I get there, to be prepared. This is where I would be leaving. Safe and speedy. Safe and speedy. My healer's mana, as you can see over here, is like 95%. I'm pulling fast, right? If you do the first few packs and your healer's sitting on 95%, I'm gone. I'm pulling all the things. Because he's fine. Our healer is fine. He can easily cope with this dungeon. No questions asked. I'm fine. I'm not doing a lot of self-healing. He's at 95%. I'm pulling all the things. I'm pulling all the things. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to pull everything. If it's in the dungeon, I'm pulling everything. And some people get confused with pull all the things by thinking that I'll pull all the things and then wait till they die. A real big aspect of tanking is knowing when to leave. This guy ain't never going to lose aggro. He's not going to attack anything. He's just a big pile of hit points. He's just a bag of hit points. At this point, I'm out of here. I'm gone. And it's safe to do that. It's perfectly safe to do that. There's no point in me really sticking around and doing this. Can I just point out? I was just watching this guy in the background. He kind of just dodders around a little bit. It kind of gave me the impression that maybe it's a good point to show that we were right about our hunter, you know, the little twiddles around. But it's okay. It's okay. But I'm out of it. This is all just kind of wasted dead time. And again, it's a case of you're not in a rush, but there's no point in hanging around because then this happens later on. And this is a situation we never want to see as a tank, is we run to here, then we change our mind. No. We're now behind our DPS. You don't want to be behind our DPS. Our DPS in this group are actually nice guys in general. They don't rush ahead. They don't ninja pull. They don't do any of that. But what we're not doing is making things easy for ourselves. Yes, it's nice to get the chum, but we should have been thinking about that while we were doing the previous mob. If there's some mechanic coming up, again, don't think of it like Scarlet Halls. There's some mechanic looking good, okay? If it ain't looking, if it's everything's like looking all right, then we want to move ahead and we want to be thinking, I don't need to think about tanking this mob. I don't care. This thing's done. It's dead. What's next? Oh, there's a chum guy coming up. Okay, cool. Then if I'm going to do that, but if I miss it for whatever reason, don't come back and get it again, because then luckily your DPS leave behind, but you guys will be, this is a rarity, right? This is a rarity, that those DPSers actually stopped and waited. Turned around, grabbed the chum bucket, a total rarity, because I would not be expecting to see that in any 5-man. Scarlet Halls, challenge modes, whatever. I would not be expecting to see, oh, the Shadow Priest noticed the tank, waited, and then went away. If I came around this corner and it was my usual 5-man, this thing's got Shadow Herb Pain and diseases. It's got more diseases than an Indian takeaway. All over it. But still, fair enough. It got left alone. It's just a little note that if you're going to run back, I just wouldn't. I would just give it up. So we move into this boss, which is where I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about position. I love this little wiggle positioning. That's awesome. A little bit of backpedaling there. Never hurt anybody when the mobs start freaking out to get them in front of you. Right, tanks. Because there's some tanker pros in the chat right now. What do we make of this? What do we make of this? What's your initial reaction as a tank when you see this going on? That's a big spider. It's a really big spider. When we see situations, taunts, okay? Your initial instinct is to taunt, taunt, pet, taunt, 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 taunt. Steroids, bro. I'm not, yeah, dog aggro, huge pet. Dog on healer, oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god. Clash, clash. Our initial instinct as a tank, and none of you said the correct answer, by the way, is why are you standing over there? That's your kind of initial reaction as a tank, is, oh my god, there's an ad over there. Why are you standing over there? Why? Why are you doing that? And then you start asking yourselves things like, have I got enough taunts to make sure these guys, because you don't want other people to take aggro, because you're a good tank, right? You don't want to do that. Why have I got enough taunts to deal with this? And taunt has a big cooldown now, so maybe you don't. And then you kind of like, this is really annoying. This is really annoying. But we always expect, as Lardwagon says, we expect people. So now we've got a hunter and a healer over there. Shadow Priest is over here. We've got people all over the damn place. There. It's almost ironic. Healer move closer? No. Because if the healer moves to here, we've still got this over here. This guy this guy is in the perfect position. If I see people standing over there, standing over here, I'm moving. Because we assume everybody in a 5-man is fucking garbage. We assume everybody in LFR is fucking garbage. And what we're not going to try and do is stand there typing away. It's like, oh, Shadow Priest, can you move to here? Healers come closer. Can everybody just kind of group up? Can everyone just be a bro about it? They're not going to do it, right? They're not going to do it. Taunting kind of sucks. If we move to here, our life is 10 times easier. This is a solution we can fix by going, I want to be there. If you are there and you work around these guys, you're going to have a better time. Our instant reaction is to try and fix this by taunting. Fix it by just taunting. You can see we have this delay. It's all kind of pissing around. If we just move those few feet to there, we don't have this problem. We don't have this problem. You can see the dog on the Shadow Priest. We kind of shimmy around and moving around and all this stuff. Whereas we're not going to get a good time. It's just going to be a pain in the ass, and we're going to be forever taunting things where realistically we're probably #1 DPS in this dungeon. And a little shimmy, a little sidestep. Remember, always position. Is there a better place to tank here? Yes. Right here. Why? Because our hunter is in fucking Orgrimmar. Our hunter... What are you doing over there? You could not be further away from everything. I know hunters have range, but come on. Come on, son. Get it together. And a little bit of a sidestep can actually make your life 10 times easier. It can really make your life easier. If we move to there now, we're actually in melee range of both the healer and the Shadow Priest. And it's just a case of our hunter doing his job and standing very far away that we have to worry about. Always consider your position. Try not to go with what your gut instinct is, which is like, oh, it's at range, I have to taunt. Older tanks have an easier time of this because we didn't have range taunt. We didn't have range taunt. So our taunt was melee range, so we had to move. Kind of a lesson there in what range taunt has done is when we see something a few yards away, that mob is literally a few yards away, we must taunt it because it's over there instead of moving somewhere, which would make it much easier, right? If you move to there, you're just going to have a better time. Again, compare it to other situations you're in. Don't always think because things are happening far away that we've got to go ahead and do our taunt. We don't really want to do that. That's not cool. I really admire your Black Ox statue, by the way. I think it's pretty good. Pretty good. So we're going to skip past this because it's boring boss. Yeah, and the tell me when stuff. What modify tell me when? This confused me a bit. And this is where, again, it's like safety over pace too much. Safety's fine to an extent. I haven't seen anybody move into this room in such a long time. We're not really pushing ourselves. You can see our healer is still just chilling at 100%. Your healer is bored. Your healer is bored, right? Healers don't really want to be bored. They don't. Healers don't want to be bored. Some do. Some go into a 5-man like, dude, slow down. I had to press 2 buttons. Oh my god. Your healer's bored. You should bear that in mind because the dungeon isn't fun for him. And you can make it fun for him. You can give him something to do, okay? You want your health to move. Being at 100% health all the time, it's not fun. It's not that interesting. And you can certainly increase the pace. You can pull everything. I would really advise you to be a little bit more daring. If you gauge your healer, especially he strikes me as a non-DPS healer. I think we can see him dodder around quite a little bit. As a non-DPS helping healer, he's just kind of chilling and casting spells on you while you're on full health. You know, that kind of thing. Then go ahead and just make his life a little bit more fun. Some people don't want to heal, but you can see he's just kind of walking around doing nothing, this healer guy. He wants more to do. We can pull everything. Pull absolutely everything. We can just have a blast with it. Again, I really like your Black Ox statue. Just for fun, we're going to watch the Herod fight because you know what's going to happen. Any predictions? Predictions? Yeah, spicing up your sexy healer life, I would say. Who's dead? Come on! Who dies? Hunter! We're going to see. If I could give away money, I would. We'd take some bets right now. We'd take some bets on it. We'd take our bets. I'd be taking your bets right now. Most people for the Hunter. Anybody want to suggest? You know what I want to say? I really hate it when people tank up here. I just personally dislike it. There's too much movement. I have 2 kinds of rules as a tank in a 5-man. I have a rule for the trash and a rule for the boss. When it comes to the trash, I'm going to do a lot of movement. I'm going to be going pretty fast. And I'm going to be trying to create as big as safety will allow death balls. That is my job. That is my thought process when I'm in a 5-man is how much can I pull safely I'd get them into one place. Because if you run into a room full of like caster gerbs and casters all over the place, it's not that easy, depending on your tank, to manage that and get it into a solid death ball. But I want to create the largest possible death ball I can, and that's going to create a lot of movement until I finally reach my kill box, right? This is where I want everything to die. This is as much as I safely want to deal with. Then we'll move on to the next thing. It's kind of how I feel in any 5-man, is how much can I pull safely? And ultimately that might be the full instance, right? Eventually you'll reach a gear level where you can pull pretty much the whole instance and then just kill them all at the end. When it comes to a boss though, I changed my entire mindset, and what I want to do is create a stationary object as much as possible so people can, as best as possible, not die to anything and do as much DPS as humanly possible. And so my mindset changes completely. And this is why in this case I don't particularly like tanking up here, because I'm going to have to do too much movement with the boss. That's going to lower overall boss DPS. And I don't like that. I don't like anything that lowers boss DPS particularly. The bosses have a lot of health compared to the trash. Let's face facts, a lot of the 5-mans are essentially trash. As such, I want this thing to die as soon as humanly possible. I really want to do that. And if I jump down there, I tend to get a little bit more DPS time, in my opinion. Anyway, it's my only opinion. I try and get bosses to move as absolute little as possible. So we jump down, and here we go. Place your bets. Here comes that bro storm. Oh, we're off. Here it comes. Oh, scary. It's moving really fast. Anybody notice how fast it was? Oh, priest and hunter. Off we go. Paladin can't do shit about it. Ow. Ow, 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 ow. Ow, the hunter. Still kind of alive. Oh, I'm dead. Oh. Oh. There's something about the female Pandaren death. If I had slow-mo on here, I want to see it one more time. It's that point. It's the point where the face collides with the floor that you can just kind of go, so satisfying. It's so satisfying to see. It really is. I just want to see it one more time because I fucking love it. I love it. Here it comes. Because the hunter survives for so long. The Paladin isn't doing shit, by the way. I love this. The Paladin just doesn't care. Doesn't fucking care. He's just full mana. Not asked. Not asked whatsoever. Watch. That lovely sigh. This is what I'm talking about, again, about boss DPS. Right now, our only DPS is the rogue. And our rogue's going to be pissed right now because you're moving the boss around and all this kind of stuff. It's right now, I want to maximize DPS as much as humanly possible. That includes my own. I really want to do that. I want to do that. I'm moving the boss around up the ramp and stuff like that. It's going to lower the DPS, especially when our rogue doesn't realize he's out of melee range. Again, look. Take it. Again, in a 5-man challenge mode, hardest content ever, doesn't matter. Easiest content ever. Assume the people you are with, when it's random people, are awful. Assume you are with a rogue who doesn't realize he's not attacking anything. And rolled an orc rogue. It's a big sign. Orc rogue, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble. So then he gets back in the action. Our rogue friend. Our rogue friend gets it. Yeah, we assume it. But then by the time we've reached the top, again, we're jumping down for Blades of Light. All this kind of situation is occurring. I'm pretty sure our rogue friend ends up dead anyway. This is a great, again, a backup towards the idea of nameplates. Got to get those nameplates, especially when there's mobs running around everywhere. As nice as it is to always have our healer somewhere close to make sure these ads always run towards us. Not always possible. Really not always possible. But we want to look after our rogue friend. I'm pretty sure the rogue dies, I just want to say. Oh, he had cheat death. Had the cheat death. What a guy. What a guy. Right, we're going to move on to the next bit. This is the bit that I want to take about. So far, we've been looking at a tank who's safety first, right? Safety over speed. We've done some small pulls. Healer's been a little bit bored. All this kind of stuff, safety first. Then we go and make a goober error a little bit. And it's all about, again, it's all about pre-planning. Because we're about to enter the corridor of death, right? Where we would like to see our safety play. We would like to see our safety play. The next corridor in this particular dungeon is something every tank should be aware of. Because, quite frankly, this is the room that you're going to die in. And this is where we'd like to have seen some safety. Is here. This is really dangerous. I would not do this unless I was crazy prepared with a good team. I just wouldn't do this. I wouldn't. Especially not in a random 5-man. I'm not going to do this because you're going to get dispersion style Shadow Priest flying around the place. These mobs will kill you. This is where we want a little bit of safety. Again, safety is good if it's used in the right places. Always important that when you're playing safe in a 5-man that you use it in the right places, because you're going to start stacking this debuff up and you're going to risk dying, especially if your DPS kind of sucks. If these things last too long, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. And that's always that's you know, it's not something you want to do. It's really not something you want to do. Just be a little bit careful of that. Finally, our healer has dropped to 80% mana. Good times. Good times. Always like to see that. So, yeah, you can get away with pulling. You can do. But always assess your group. In this situation, I've got DPSs who probably aren't very good. And it's always worth wearing. If I was in this group, I wouldn't do that. Is how I would say that. I wouldn't do that. Just be aware of where the dangers lie in the dungeon. Especially when you're trying to go for a nice pace. Loads of ideas there about tanking. Positioning, making decisions, judgment calls. Signs to look for in any 5-man scenario, which might cause you problems later. Always worth it. Always worth looking for those things. Little clues. We're going to move on to Horadon. I wanted to get this in. Yeah, we're good on time. We're going to be looking at Horadon. Tanking of Horadon. Where do we even start with tanking on Horadon? We're going to be looking at 10-man guild on Horadon. Now you can imagine we're not going to try and kill Horadon. It's going to be one of those raids, super safe. Attacking Horadon is bad for everybody. That kind of thing, okay? So we're going to be looking at Horadon. So, again, UI is pretty fine, actually. UI is pretty fine. Brewmaster Monk once again. Our Brewmaster Monk. Like the Brewmaster. We like the Brewmaster. Now, keg smash all the things. Smash it. Make it yours. Make it yours. We did take Rushing Jade Wind. Kind of like this decision. Kind of like this decision. A little bit helpful. Now, as a monk, as a Brewmaster Monk, especially when we move up from the 5-man to the raid setting, our big important thing is chi management. We need to manage our chi effectively. Because if we don't, we run into horrible situations. Now, this is a problem that our tank has on occasion, is we run into situations where we desperately need to use a chi. We desperately need to use it, and we don't have any. And now we don't have any energy to actually generate any. And that's a problem. Chi management is all about making sure you have access almost immediately to at least 1 chi or 2 chi. You need to be ready for it. You need to be prepared for any situation where you will suddenly need to purifying brew. You might need to throw up your essential power guard. Whatever it might be, chi management is everything. It's not about smashing everything in the face as a brewmaster. Okay, you want to use your abilities in a timely fashion, definitely, but you also need to ensure that you have chi ready for bad situations. Our main problem, 2 main problems. One, we're going to have pretty slacky chi management, which we're going to see every now and again, is that we're going to drop into a situation where we need to purify our damage or we need to use a cooldown, and we can't. For quite a long time, like 3 or 4 seconds, we just can't do it. And on top of that, we're really kind of slacky on our keg smash. Really slacky. Don't try and master keg smash as much as possible. It generates lovely chi. It's a great ability to get used to. Okay? So, okay. Here we go. We're going to get into there. Now, it's nice to see some position. I love this little roll, by the way. It's something you actually didn't do later in the fight, was roll to avoid that, just to move rather quickly. Kind of cut it close on a couple of occasions, but no big deal. We're going to start tanking. I want everyone to watch this. I want everyone to watch the little hand. I don't know what's happening here. And it really distracted me. What is it doing? What is it? What is it doing? Where is it going? And then oh no. We really need to bind that, okay? We really need to bind that. It would be... Should he bind it? Yeah? I think so too. I think so too. Yeah. Let's get it. Let's not bind it. Let's bind that. We want to bind it. We want to make that a good time. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. Now, okay, so we start off and we're going to be obviously ad tanking second. There's a few. Horadon is a nightmare. I kind of did a workshop on this a while ago. Unfortunately, the internet went down, which was a pity. And my redo of it, I didn't particularly enjoy. Horadon is a messy for tanks. People have this. I fucking hate this boss, right? I hate this boss. People go about Horadon in so the wrong way. Horadon is a massive pile of fun. It is. This is just fun. But people treat it like the hardest encounter that has ever existed in World of Warcraft, right? Horadon is just a blast. There's damage increase moments. There are fucking loads of ads going on. It's ace. It's fun as shit. It's totally fun. Right? You can just have a blast. You can have a load of fun. You can do all sorts of stuff. But people treat this boss like some sort of... They put it on a pedestal. And therefore they start changing the rules about what Horadon is. Okay? They start changing the way to play it. Don't touch Horadon. We should caress Horadon and be his best friend forever. The doors are so dangerous that we're going to be in a serious amount of trouble. If the doors are controlled in a moderate fashion, they're no problem. They're nothing. They're absolutely nothing. But people treat this boss like some sort of heroic, epic fucking super boss of death. Right? And it's not. It really isn't. The mechanics in it are actually very, very simple, and everything is pretty easily counterable. There is opportunity sometimes for death, but that goes for every single encounter. But we really need to work on this. Now, there's a couple of things that do work against you as a tank, there's no doubt about it, this is cool. Your bear tank, I have to say this, your bear tank in your guild is actually your feral tank, I like him. I like your feral tank. This position is good. Your bear tank has gone and put them all over, right, literally inside of Horadon's anus. Look at these warlocks, not giving a shit, fucking burning that boss like it's his job, and it is his job. Like it. Now this is where we start doing the usual script. The usual thing that we see in the 10-man guilds who are doing Horadon is we stop doing work on Horadon. We just leave him alone. We just leave him alone. And I never want to see, like, this is a sad sight to me. This is like a hunter not doing damage, like... Get ready. This, I don't want to see this. Guardian, don't stop calling it feral. Burr tank. I don't want to see this. I want to see this. Look at this guy. Jumpy 360 no-scope incinerates. Nice. This guy's like, he looks sad. The hunter genuinely looks sad. He's like, I just want to shoot the giant guy. I want to shoot. I'm not allowed to shoot him. Well, your warlock is fucking dropping names. Taking names. Cool to see, though, that hunter's actually the top DPS. 360 no-scope lock. Love it. There's a little thing going on here. Some of you will agree with it, some of you won't. I personally agree with this little strategy, is that you don't tank swap until the door is about to spawn. Some of you do that. I personally think it's the better tactic, where your healers just work that little bit harder on the transition. It just gives you so much more vengeance than swapping immediately and kind of trickling your way over to the other door. Little things like that always make nice. Attack swap at 3, Kappa. Yeah, it's just to keep the boss on you till about here for vengeance. I don't even attack swaps. So hardcore. So hardcore. Now, this is the interesting bit that people always struggle with. This is like a nightmare to newish tanks. And it is. Some people will say it's really easy, but this is a nightmare situation for newish tanks, is these doors. They hate them because they've heard these rumours. They've heard these things about how hard the Horadon doors are and you have to get all over it. They're not that hard if you know what you're prioritising. Always nice to have some vengeance. Now, the biggest element that makes this easy is just the simplest thing in the world, and it's your camera. Your camera makes life so easy. Our camera work is not the best. It's not the best. In fact, I've got to say, you need to really thank your hunters a lot, because they work their balls off. Them hunters are doing work. Yeah, this is some keyboard term. We're not too bothered about that. We're talking about good things. Your hunters work their balls off, and they do a fantastic job. So give them a cake or a smile or a pie. All good. Your hunters, class act. Class act hunters. I love to see this. Because I say that because you did fuck all to these and you have aggro on them. Love it. Absolutely love it. Now, our position here isn't the best. Why? What's going wrong with this situation? Come on. There is something that's going to cause us endless problems on this screen right now. Because Charge? No. No. New ads? No. Something's going wrong with our raid group. Ads come out to healers and DPS. Healers are in range with both tanks. Look where the healers are stood. Look at that. Both healers are stood here. I hate this. I hate this. This is a call. This is a raid call for me. This is like, can you... Healers... Because the hunter is sad. Yeah, healers, can you move, please? Can you just get out of the way? It would be really helpful if the healers would not stand right here. I really hate to see healers stood where ads spawn. I can't think of anything stupider. I mean, if someone was to ask you a common sense question, which is, there are ads going to spawn which could kill you, and they're going to spawn here, would you stand there? If someone approached you with that question, where should you stand in this room, right? You've got a circular room. This is where all the ads will come from. Where will you stand? Would you go, I will stand here, right where the ads will spawn? No, of course you wouldn't. Of course you wouldn't. But healers can help you by dragging these ads towards you. It's always nice to see healers just thinking about their position as well. And that's actually going to lead us to other issues. We get on with our tanking, which isn't too shabby. We're okay. We're okay. I like the fact that you swapped your Black Ox statue. Little bit of thing going on there. Little bit of a thing going on there. And it's going to go a little bit questionable. Okay. It's kind of a... I've got to say, we end up in a kind of bad situation there. This is like the bad situation. This is no good. Because now we can't see anything. And this is where our camera work becomes a problem. Because we can't see anything here. We need to see what's going on over in this area of the screen. We need to see what the hell is going on over in this area of the screen. If we're going to control this in any fashion, we need to see. Look at this. We can't see a goddamn thing. We can't. We just can't see anything. And that sucks. Because this is a fight all about ads that are going to be... Especially if your healers are positioned in a way where they're going to go in different places. Right? If our healers are going to cause the mobs, which they are doing, okay, they might not be aware of it, but the healers are causing the mobs to act in a way that's not nice. Our hunters are picking up that slack, but they can't do it constantly. If we're doing this, our camera work is now our best friend. And if our camera is this, we're going to have a bad time. We're going to have a bad time. And we don't want that. We don't really want a bad time. We don't want it to be that situation, because what happens? If I move this, our healer just died. And that's why it works. That's why this situation happens. Our healer just died. Okay? Our healer just died. And we don't want that. Now, there's two things that can be said here. They instantly res him and life goes on. And we don't really say anything about it. A good raid leader, for raid healer out there, is when somebody dies, we try to work out why. And a good notification is actually the thing that goes in the raid that's like, hey, why did you die? And that thing that notifies you, you died to like a melee hit or something along those lines, okay? Lets you know why they died. That's all you want to know. Because if it's a melee hit, it's like, why did you get a melee hit? Why did that happen? And then you can start to see things like, well, did you stand where the ad spawned? Yes. Did the tank pick something up? I couldn't see them. All these things come into effect at this stage. Why did you die as a healer? What happened? Why did you die? Did you get aggro? Yes. Where were you stood? There. Tank. Why didn't you sort it? I couldn't see it. All these kind of things start to come into play. And as we can see what happens, and I'm more confident in this, although we can't actually see it because the camera doesn't show it, ironically enough. Ironically enough, is round about here, we can see that this healer gets aggro. There. And then shortly after that, he gets a de-aggro, but then he very quickly dies. Now, he could be stood in a Venom Cloud, in which case, derpy him, in which case that's fine. But regardless, we should have been aware of that situation. We should have been aware of that situation and doing something about it. Again, our positioning is away from Horadon. This is like hell. Get out of here, buddy. Look at this. I don't want to stand in there. We should be over at Horadon abusing that cracked shell, but I'll put that down to a kind of the raid tactics of tickling Horadon. Notice the keg smash kind of going unused again. We just want to make sure we keep on top of that. There's a few things going on here, but it's not always the tank's fault. A lot of people like to rage at the tanks at Horadon. I think that's why it's built this sort of colossal name amongst the lower end guilds who are working through this and the medium guilds. It's built up this kind of reputation, and it's generally like it's a tank fight. It's not really. It's not. Yeah, there's tanking elements, which is cool. It's actually fun. You should be enjoying this as a tank. There's loads to do. Interrupting, gathering, movement, all these kind of things are great fun. But it's also about the team working together. Your healers being in the wrong position sucks. In fact, your hunters putting in so much work, so good. So good to see that. I really, really enjoyed that. And we want to see people just putting in time on Horadon. There goes the old tank swap again, moving back into our position. If we skip to the next one, this was kind of cool because we got to see the priority system in action, which was cool. Interesting start there with a spinning crane kick. I'm not sure I would have gone with that myself, but, you know, each to their own. Each to their own. Getting our ads. Now, we prioritise heavily on the bears. I just want to note the healers. I mean, this is really actually upsetting to me, is to see the healers like that far away from a tank who's tanking the ads. It actually pisses me off. It does. As a raider, that's you know, in heyday raiding, pisses me off. I can't imagine why you would stand so fucking far away. It's actually like really annoying me. It's actually really annoying me because you have a chance of pulling an ad actually out of fucking range. Right? I mean, you're so far away. I don't care about the hunters. They can do things to get away from it. Do you know what I mean? But it's kind of sucky. It's kind of sucky, and it kind of pisses me off a little bit because we end up running around trying to get the mobs and stuff, trying to correct it. And no doubt there's a healer on the right hand. Yeah, our priest and stuff is on the right hand side, and it's making your life harder. It's a team effort. It's making your life harder, and I don't like that. I never like that as a tank, is people making my life harder, which is a good thing. It's a good thing as a tank, is you don't want people to make your life harder. Because if you create a bigger death ball, the ads die faster, the boss dies faster, and it's just a load more fun. Okay? It's just a ton more fun. It's loads more fun to have. You did do the priority, making sure that you got to grab the bears ASAP. Couldn't note, again, the camera work, that kind of came in from behind, caught you unawares. Would have liked to have seen you spinning the camera, just making sure you were getting ready for that. Getting away for that, and there's a few ads around, doing all kinds of stuff. Another bear over there, you can see this bear in the distance. You notice it, but you're in this weird position. I would like to have seen a roll and stuff there. A few little tidbits that would certainly help you out. Still got this bear over there. And I can see you're desperately trying to get it while still maintaining a position. A little bit of help from the hunters there. Pretty sure there's a little bit of help from the hunters. But again, thank you, hunters. They're really cool guys. Really cool guys. And then you get back into this, and it's all good. And then your druid takes over again, which is cool. So there's a few things to be working on there. It's really considering your position and your camera, big time. Keg smash, got to get used to it. And definitely keeping hold of chi, preparing your chi, really important. Talk to your healers. Don't be afraid to say. You don't have to be nasty like, healers, fucking move! You don't need to be that guy. Just say, healers, can you stand near me so the mobs come towards me? And they'll go, oh yeah, you know, sorry. Sometimes healers get caught up in a fight that they think is kind of stressful and end up in a sort of weird situation where they don't really think, oh god, I'm stood in a silly place here. You want to just communicate amongst yourselves. If the only person in a different direction is the other tank, unless he's just spam self-healing himself like an absolute gangster or a paladin, then it's unlikely the ads are going to be drawn towards him. It's likely they're naturally going to be coming towards you. They'll die faster. You're just going to have a much better time. All that kind of stuff. It's a team effort, Horadon, but it's a reasonably easy team effort. There's nothing much difficult going on, and people will have a much better time. Watch out for your cooldowns. Need to be doing some stuff, okay? Need to be doing some work with those cooldowns, and don't click them. Let's get those things binded. Let's just bind them to something. Activating, say, shield wall, fortifying brew, whatever you want to call it, needs to be Johnny on the fucking spot. Or a paladin. Paladins are gangsters. All that kind of stuff. Then we need to be really fast with our cooldowns. It's nice that you knew you might need one. I liked that you actually moused over your fortifying brew, because that showed that you were thinking, I might need a cooldown in a moment, and you were ready to react to that. That's awesome. But let's get that key binded, get it fixed up, and just show you're aware of that. Really work on your camera movement. Horadon, you know that ads are going to spawn all over the place, okay? You'll get used to the pattern eventually, but just keep your camera moving just to make sure. You want more ads. More ads is more vengeance. More ads is more DPS. You want all the ads. You want all the cake. You want all